came out. People say weird things during sex all the time.
Okay, well, they sure as hell don't say that.
Well, it's the heat of the moment.
No, the heat of the moment is, oh yeah, just like that. Not, will you marry me?
I'm sorry. Just give me another chance.
Why? So you can crawl under the covers and go, hey baby, want to go look for houses in neighborhoods with good...
Jason Alexander, widely acclaimed for his roles in Seinfeld and Young Sheldon, faced harsh criticism for his guest appearance in Criminal Minds Season 4, Episode 8, titled Masterpiece. Portraying a narcissistic professor obsessed with the Fibonacci sequence, Alexander's performance was deemed heavily overacted by many fans and critics. Some likened his portrayal to a cartoonish comic book villain, with exaggerated gestures and a distracting wig adding to the negative reception. Despite Alexander's history of celebrated roles, viewers felt his portrayal missed the mark, clashing with the tone of the show. Still, the episode managed an 8.3 IMDb rating, indicating a mixed reception overall. Heavily overacted, Criminal Minds fans hated Young Sheldon star's guest appearance, who earned a market-breaking $600,000 per episode in Seinfeld. Criminal Minds has raged on as one of the top-rated police procedural thriller mystery crime dramas in the history of entertainment, with its suspensive and mysterious elements perfectly captivating viewers worldwide. Throughout the course of its 17-season-long run, the drama has not only been led by a star-studded cast but has also been met with quite a few guest appearances. One of those very guest appearances included Jason Alexander's as well. However, even though the actor has starred in shows like Young Sheldon and even been met with a market-breaking salary of $600,000 per episode in Seinfeld, his guest appearance wasn't all too appreciated. In fact, his portrayal was so disappointing that some even deemed it heavily overacted. Jason Alexander's guest appearance in Criminal Minds was a bit too much. This dates back to the 8th episode, Masterpiece, of Season 4 of Criminal Minds, which was written by Edward Allan Bernero, directed by Paul Michael Glaser, and premiered on November 19, 2008. In the respective episode, Jason Alexander made his guest appearance as the deranged professor, though his performance somehow failed to live up to the mark. As the primary villain of the episode, the special guest star's character was a narcissistic psychopath obsessed with the Fibonacci sequence who confessed to killing 7 people while claiming that 5 more would die. But while Alexander had already been credited with giving outstanding performances across multiple pieces, his portrayal in this fell short. This comes as a surprise because the actor-cum-comedian has been credited with bringing some of the most epic performances to the screen. For one, it's these very acting chops of his that earned him the role of the short, stocky, balding George Costanza in Seinfeld, who struggled with his insecurities, often dooming his relationships through his own fear of being dumped. For the record, this performance even earned him a whopping $600,000 per episode while he was working on the series after he, along with his co-stars, bargained for a $1 million per episode salary via his interview with Charlie Rose. Plus, since then, he has gone on to star as Gene Lundy in the smash hit The Big Bang Theory spin-off sitcom series Young Sheldon as well. So where exactly did it all go wrong? Well, per reviews on IMDb, it turns out it wasn't only Jason Alexander's acting in Masterpiece that made this episode a real head-scratcher, but also the look that the Curb Your Enthusiasm star sported in the episode, which featured him wearing a long, silvery wig that glorified and ridiculed him all at once. What viewers had to say about Jason Alexander and Masterpiece. Critics can be brutal, and Jason Alexander found himself to be a victim of the same after his portrayal of the Fibonacci sequence-obsessed deranged professor in Criminal Minds' Masterpiece episode. If anything, per the fan and viewer reviews on IMDb, one reviewer even went as far as to call his performance to be a heavily overacted one. In the review, the viewer mentioned that all that ran through their head while watching this episode was, how does a guy who played one of the best characters in TV history give this kind of performance? Further review of his performance had the reviewer claiming that Alexander had played his character like a comic book villain. He was so over-the-top ridiculous that I started laughing a few times, and even the hair he wore was silly. I felt like I was watching a villain from one of the old Batman TV shows from back in the Adam West era, right down to the scene where the professor tries to attack Rossi after his scheme is revealed. I thought he should have topped it off by yelling curses, foiled again, or those meddling kids. That's how cartoonish this was. Another review from a different viewer with a 1-star rating further trolled Alexander, saying, Jason Alexander as a silver-haired serial killer? Whose idea was this? He looked like someone wearing a bad Halloween costume as Mark Twain. Horrible acting in all of the volley scenes between him and Rossi. Worst. Black, I need a shower to scrub this episode off. One other reviewer called this character the opposite of Alexander's element, claiming that not only did his character embarrass them, but also looking at him made me instantly want to forget him. If anything, this episode seems to have given me small and painful heart attacks during rewatches because I didn't skip it fast enough and had to think of Jason Alexander's hair. Further adding fuel to the fire, yet another reviewer said about Alexander's performance, as strong as he was at the first, he seemed to not be able to hold that, and the Rothschild character faded away, revealing that Alexander really can't do much more than play one kind of person. All the evil menace he had at first just melted and wasn't anymore by the end of the show. All of this being said, it's unarguable that, for some reason, perhaps because of how his character was written or styled or simply the way the actor decided to bring him to life, Jason Alexander's performance fell critically short in this acting gig of his. Despite all of these many flaws, the episode still managed to garner an 8.3-star rating on IMDb, so fans might as well just let it go. Criminal Minds can currently be streamed on Hulu and Paramount+.